Alright, people. So I just watched Dinesh D'Souza's film, um, America. Um, Overall, I thought it was pretty good. There was some parts I disagreed with, but basically it was split in, which I saw like two parts. It sort of focused on America's history. Yeah, all the wars we've been in from like 1776, and then like all the big events of America summed up in about an hour. And then it went on to talk about Obama, and that's the part I liked, how he bashed Obama. But the first half, let's get to the first half. I sort of had a problem with the first half because he's talking about all these bad things we did, like, persecute the Indians and shit. And, they try to justify it, people try to justify it. And, you know, I don't really agree with what we did to the Indians. I mean, they were here first. We came in, we basically killed them, and people try to justify it, and it's like, it's kind of a problem there. I mean, when you come into somebody's home, I mean, we look at other civilizations throughout the past who would come into other people's civilizations and just murder, innocent civilians, and that's what we did. I mean, it was clearly a wrongdoing by our part, and they try to make these things, like seem okay. They try to make slavery seem okay, when in reality it was bad. They um, also they covered civil rights too. Did they Yeah, they covered like a little bit of civil rights, um, and then they also went into they covered the Revolutionary War a little bit too there, um, and they covered the wars too, like Vietnam, and they're like, yeah, we win the war. After the war is over, we go and rebuild the country. I thought that was kind of bullshit. We rebuild them back up, and they were trying to like justify all these wars we've been in, and it's like, yeah, you cannot take back however many people, those hundreds of thousands of people that died because of the atomic bomb droppings. You cannot justify that. Um, you cannot make up for that, by rebuilding a city. You know, those lives are going to be lost forever, and it's a tragedy that should never have happened. And the people are like, oh, it would have been a million Americans dead. So our alternative is to kill hundreds of thousands of innocent Japanese. Yeah, why don't we just nuke the whole Middle East? Why don't we just nuke it? Why don't we just nuke the whole world? If that's the philosophy, it'll save American lives. Just nuke the whole world. Nuke the whole Middle East, and it's a great philosophy to have right there. Great job, America. For killing innocent civilians. Just fucking just. I don't agree with the dropping of the atomic bombs. I think it was stupid. And then they go to like the Vietnam, and they're just trying to justify this war or whatever. All these wars. And I'm like, he really does not understand Dinesh D'Souza. He seems like a kind of a typical conservative, not really, but in the sense that he's kind of for the wars. Like, he doesn't understand the corporate interests that are behind these wars that actually make these wars happen. I mean, I've covered that immensely on this, and how we fund our opponents that we're fighting against, especially Al Qaeda and the Taliban and ISIS, that we fund them and fight them at the same time. I mean, he really fails to grasp that point of it. And he's just trying to justify all of our, we've done a lot of bad shit. He also talked about how how we, made the Indians walk on the Trail of Tears too. The point is, we've done a lot of bad shit, but I don't think we should come back, in present day and say, oh, like I have to pay for the bad shit we did before. No, I mean, I don't think that should apply, um, because it's my ancestors that I didn't do that. I shouldn't be paying, and we shouldn't really pay too much attention towards our past problems. We should focus more on the future and things that actually affect us. However, we should still realize that what we did was wrong. We shouldn't try to justify it just because it's America. We should still realize it's wrong so it doesn't happen again, and we should still acknowledge it's wrong. However, we shouldn't let it affect our current image as a nation right now. We shouldn't, say, yeah, we persecuted the Japanese back in World War II by putting them in concentration camps, and that means we're bad now. No, that was a past issue. It's done and over with. Yes, it was a terrible thing to do, but we shouldn't really dwell on it. I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. So there's my review on the first half. Didn't really agree with it too much. I mean, I thought it was a little bit too, pro-war, pro-America, and I thought it just glorified America too much. Like, and he's like, this guy was talking about how he did a bunch of evil things in one of his books, and they basically like said, oh no, America's good. Like, no, we are evil. We do a lot of evil things, people. All right. And people think, oh, you're anti-American because you say America's evil. Well, we kind of are. We invade other countries. We overthrow democratically elected dictators like we did in Iran. We put in just oppressive regimes a lot of the times. Like, we're overthrowing Gaddafi. We're trying to overthrow Assad to do what? To put in ISIS, who we fund. So, I mean, not everything we do is bad. We do a lot of evil things. I mean, I could just go through the list. Operation Paperclip, Operation Northwoods. I think I got it. Here's Operation Northwoods. Read the whole thing. It talks about, if I could get to the, it talks about hijacking airplanes, just a bunch of false flags, blow up ammunition inside bases, burn aircraft on an aircraft base, just perform acts of terrorism to justify a war with Cuba. Operation Ajax, which was the Iran thing. Lying about wars, and just because we lie about a war, people are like, oh, we had to fight the war. Well, we shouldn't lie about it. If you need to fight a war, then at least be truthful about it and don't deceive the American public. So I didn't really agree with him in the first part. He was kind of too pro-America, too pro-justifying America. Now let's get on to the second part, which was basically bashing Obama. I liked the part where he started bashing Obama. That was the best part of the movie, where he was bashing Obama, but really exposing him. And that was a good part where he played the clips of him saying, yeah, you didn't build your business, which is a complete lie. It's like, you didn't build your business, like, fucking shut the fuck up. Yeah, I did build my business if I had a business. Just and playing clips of him saying you could keep your doctor, really exposing him as a fraud, and also talked about the IRS too a little bit. I thought that was good. I still thought he could have went deeper into the actual fraud of Obama. Like, he talked about the NSA too, which was good. I thought he should have talked about him funding ISIS, the open borders maybe, although that wasn't that much of an issue at the time. Just really, been for the impeachment of Obama, just took it a step further and exposed him as a puppet president of the globalist New World Order. Just expose Obama as just a complete criminal. But he did, put a pretty good beating on Obama, I guess. And overall, I give the film, it was decent. I disagree with it, but, he seems like a pretty good conservative, actually a pretty real conservative. I mean, he was too pro-war, I guess, to be considered a really true conservative, but, I mean, I still thought it was overall a pretty decent film. A lot better than with the liberals, the so-called liberals, which are actually mostly communists, are pushing, with the fucking open borders and shit. So, overall, I give the film, I'll give it 6.5, I guess, out of 10 stars. I mean, a little bit too pro-America. I am pro-America. I like America, but when we do evil, when we do wrongdoings, we should admit it, and so it doesn't happen again. So we should, because if you just keep going along saying America's great, America's great, then we're not gonna, they're just gonna keep getting away with evil things. And we have to admit our wrongdoings as a nation so it doesn't happen again, and so we can improve as a nation. So there's my review on Dinesh D'Souza's America. First part I thought it was a little boring. Second part it was more exciting. I would recommend, a film, more of an Alex Jones type film, which actually exposes the globalists as opposed to Dinesh D'Souza, which just kind of exposes the puppet of the globalists. I watched The Obama Deception. That's, I think, a much better film to watch, much more entertaining than this one. So I would recommend more of an Alex Jones type film than this one. And so yeah, there you go, people. There's your review of Dinesh D'Souza. And even him, they still persecuted him by the They put him in like this house or whatever this for a fucking bullshit. Um, uh, he funded like some political party or something illegally. They said, but they won't put in jail the other people that it's just it's selective enforcement pretty much with these laws. So it was bullshit how they. But he did do a pretty good job of bashing Obama there. And if you bash Obama, you get fucking persecuted by these laws which are only select enforcement. So there you go, people. I guess it was a pretty decent film. So there's your review.